I think each of us has a monster deep inside that wants us to conquer our greatest desires. But this idea is often pushed to the side because society views monsters as being evil because they're selfish, relentless, and obsessive. While it's true that some are evil, I'd argue that Garou from One Punch Man is an exception and that we are better off being a monster instead of just being normal. So in this video, I'm going to take you with me as we try to learn how to become one ourselves and why it would make us better off. As a bonus, I'll also share the one aspect that makes Garou different from all the monsters in the series and how it'll actually save you in the long run. So let's start from the beginning. We first get a hint of Garou in season 1 when Silverfang mentions that Garou was his top disciple who he expelled because Garou had brutally beaten the other disciples. Being the top disciple in Silverfang's dojo must mean that you're either crazy talented or have a strong desire to outperform others. For Garou, I think he had a powerful desire to become the best, and that's because of his goal. A goal that was shaped by his childhood where he was constantly picked for being the monster in a game and bullied for liking monsters. In the flashback scenes, Garou hated the game and the cartoons that portrayed monsters always losing. He also hated that his friend who played the hero in the game was an asshole who treated him like shit. This led him to have the goal of becoming the greatest monster ever so that no one would underestimate monsters and weed out the fake heroes. This goal allowed him to focus only on things that could help him achieve his desire and limit all distractions. He never cares about having fun or short-term pleasures. The only thing that's on his mind is his goal, and he would do anything to achieve it. Whether it's winning a martial arts competition disguised as the Wolfman or hunting heroes to send a message or to improve himself, his actions are always and only directed towards his goal. This kind of selfishness is what helped him become the very best because it allowed him to prioritize his time and energy towards his goal. I think all of us have goals that we want to achieve, but we only have 24 hours within a day, and as humans, we also only have a limited amount of energy to work with. By learning Garou's selfishness and using it for ourselves, we're going to start looking for things that are not helping us achieve our goals and replacing them with things that do. We may not achieve our goals as fast as we want to, but when all of our time and efforts are put into achieving our goals, we'll be ready when the opportunity comes, and when it does, we'll take everything that comes with it. In fact, Garou was just a kid when he started his training at Silverfang's dojo, and he only started to challenge everyone when there was nothing else to learn. The gap between when he first started training and the events of season 2 must have been huge, and putting that much focus on a goal is going to make anyone feel exhausted. After all, pursuing his goal of becoming the greatest monster of all time is gonna come with a lot of challenges and setbacks. The fact that Garou had endured so much since he was a kid means that he has developed an aspect that makes him a monster compared to the rest. An aspect that allowed him to keep fighting even when he was beaten up. When we demand something as high as being the greatest of something, we have to develop the relentlessness that's going to help us achieve our goals. This is what Garou developed all those years of training. Relentlessness isn't something practical that's going to help us achieve our goals the way having skills does, but it does help us get back on our feet when we face setbacks. This is as important as having the skills needed to achieve whatever it is that we want. Since Garou has his sights on becoming the greatest monster, he needs to have both fighting skills and relentlessness in learning them. But how do we actually develop relentlessness? Well, we develop it the same way we develop any skill, and that's through repetition. But the difference is that we do those reps in our minds, and we do them only when we face setbacks. So every time we feel exhausted from facing a setback, we literally have to force ourselves to get up and keep trying. Because we don't become relentless by doing the reps when everything is nice and perfect, we become relentless by responding to setbacks. So the more we do these reps, the easier for us to respond to any setbacks, because that's what it means to be relentless. For Garou, there is another aspect that helped him respond to any of the setbacks we see in season 2, and that's his goal and the fact that he's obsessed with it. He is so obsessed that it makes him unbalanced in other aspects. Let's face it, Garou is not a people person, and I think most of his training is in martial arts and not in communication. And we can see this from his interactions with Tario, the kid with the hero almanac. Even though Tario isn't a hero, Garou's interactions with him aren't necessarily that different from the interactions that Garou has with other heroes. Garou was straight to the point, aggressive, and might even come off as rude. Moreover, he's always obsessed with his goal of becoming the greatest monster ever, and that's why he keeps asking to borrow Tario's Hero Almanac. He is so obsessed that he wants to know where the heroes are usually patrolling, the signature moves that each hero has, and every bit of detail that he could learn to get the upper hand. Not only that, but he also tries to learn and apply the moves that he got from the heroes he hunted or tried to hunt. For example, he learned how Watchdog Man moved and used it when he fought against Genos, Bang, and Bomb. Because of his obsession, Garou focused on any details, even the tiny ones that could help him improve himself and get him closer to his goal. In pursuing our goals, there are lots of tiny details that we might have missed but could help us just like it did with Garou. And I think all of them matter because one tiny detail could be what's standing between us and our goals. With that in mind, if we all want to achieve our goals, we have to be obsessed with even the tiniest of details because that will make all the difference. Now, even though I said that Garou is unbalanced, I don't think that being unbalanced is necessarily a bad thing, at least in the short term. If we're unbalanced from pursuing our goals and we know that our goals are worth fighting for, I think it would only make sense for us to be unbalanced because we are literally using most of our time and energy to achieve our goals. Now, Garou might seem like an evil monster because he hunts heroes, beat the crap out of them, and is rude to kids, but there is one aspect that makes him different, an aspect that we can see in episode 10 of season 2. In that episode, we can see that Garou is wounded from all the fighting that he did and is trying to heal himself back up. That's when Tario showed up and asked Garou to leave because his friends wanted their hideout back. Unfortunately, Garou was followed by Death Gatling and 7 other heroes who aimed at taking down Garou to boost their ranks. Knowing that Tario could be caught in the crossfire, Garou stepped outside and asked the heroes to not attack the hideout. Even though he's injured, he uses all the strength and focus that he has against all 8 heroes, standing his ground all by himself. He also tried to move the fighting away from the hideout so that the heroes wouldn't accidentally hit it. Unfortunately for Garou, he ends up being in the line of sight of Death Gatling, and he again tells him to not shoot at the shed because Tario was inside. But Death Gatling doesn't believe a single word that came out of Garou's mouth and starts shooting immediately. This is where we can see the difference between Garou the monster and the monsters that are actually evil. Without dodging, Garou deflected all of the bullets away from the shed, saving Tario in the process. While he could have easily gotten away, the initial shots would have hit the shed and Tario would have been riddled with holes. The fact that Garou is still willing to save the innocents means that he is in control of his inner monster. So even though he was rude to Tario, he still has rules that he upholds. This is the separator that Garou has against monsters that are evil, which I think ultimately made him the greatest monster in the series. A monster that can control itself is a monster that's truly above others, and that's what Garou really is. I think we can all aspire to become a monster like Garou. A monster that prioritizes its own goals, is relentless in pursuing them, is obsessed over everything that can help achieve them, and still has control if we make rules that keep us grounded. The rules don't have to be a lot or very strict, as long as they help us remain humble and kind to others. Having rules like these helps us welcome opportunities from other people, because imagine if Garou attacked Tario or killed the heroes that he hunted, they wouldn't probably learn the message that Garou is trying to spread, and that is, you shouldn't underestimate monsters. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I really hope you guys enjoyed this one. And if you like this type of content, please go ahead and subscribe to my channel, as I will be making more of these in the future. And as always, stay awesome.